If holding student attention feels harder today than in years past, well, that's pretty much because it is. And it's not because teachers are doing less, but because today's classroom is simply not a continuation of the one most of us were trained for. You see, in the modern classroom, we have to continuously compete with instant feedback loops, constant stimulation, low tolerance for frustration and ambiguity, and the ability to pretty much do away with discomfort like at the swipe of a finger. So when a student walks into a classroom that moves at a different pace, their brains don't disengage out of defiance, they do it pretty much just out of habit. This isn't a teacher problem, but it is a strong design mismatch between what today's kids are wired to respond to and how we're taught to deliver instruction. The way to approach this is to start thinking of attention as something to earn, not as something that is owed. Now, don't get me wrong. When students walk into your classroom, should they pay attention just because? Yes, they should, but they don't. The good news is attention is actually not a mystery. We're just not taught this explicitly in education. When we look at engagement and attention through the lens of behavior science, though, it reveals that student behavior follows predictable patterns as a result of predictable and automatic cognitive mechanisms. I'm talking about below the surface automatic cognitive systems we all have that determine engagement before conscious thought even occurs. That is where our influence as teachers comes in by design. Because once we understand and start to use how the brain actually filters and responds to information, we can start building lessons that work with those systems instead of constantly fighting against them. Like the brain is wired to notice things that are different. It's drawn to challenge that feels reachable, patterns that need solving, choices that feel real, and moments that break expected rhythms. That's why traditional instruction, which is much more of a passive sit, listen, and repeat situation, rarely holds attention. There's not really a lot for the brain to do with that. Listen, you design that experience right and you won't have to beg for attention. You'll earn it. And once students feel that draw and pull of real engagement, you stop managing behavior that results from so much disengagement and start watching a cycle of effort, achievement, and authentic buy-in take over your learning environment.